Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating philosophy that suggests suffering isn't a requirement at all. It's a choice, and it offers a guide to a life where we can grow beyond our pain by understanding life's hidden rules.
All right, let's just jump right in with a big question. One that I'm pretty sure we've all asked ourselves at some point. When things go wrong, is it just bad luck? And when things go right, are we just fortunate? Or is there something else going on, a kind of hidden logic or order to the universe?
Well, the framework we're digging into today comes from the work of a Colombian philosopher, Gerardo Schmedling, and his School of the Magic of Love. And here's the core idea. This philosophy suggests that life isn't a game of chance at all. Nope, it's actually a perfectly ordered system designed specifically for our growth. It's a pretty radical way to look at things, right? A total alternative to just seeing life as a series of random events. Okay, so how do we wrap our heads around this? Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with life's unwritten rules. Then we'll get into heeding life's warnings. After that, we'll explore this huge idea that you are the creator of your reality. And finally, we'll look at the path to stopping suffering for good. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, first up, we're going to challenge a really fundamental assumption that most of us just, live with. We're going to try to look past this whole idea of good luck or bad luck and see if there's a different kind of order hiding underneath it all. So this whole philosophy kicks off with a really bold claim. There are no coincidences. None. Everything that happens isn't just some random accident, what we might call casualty, but it's actually the direct result of a cause. It's all causality. What that means is that every single event, whether it's huge or seems totally insignificant, is governed by these precise universal laws.
Okay, let's move on to our first big concept. This is all about learning to see what's coming before it gets here. And honestly, this is where this philosophy starts to get super practical.
This quote, it just nails the essence of the very first law we need to get. The law of warning. It's a pretty wild idea, right? That life never really catches us by surprise. The signs, they're always there first. So think about it like this. Life is constantly sending us signals. They could be really subtle, like a nagging feeling, or maybe a recurring thought you can't shake. It could even be a small mishap, like getting a flat tire on the way to a meeting you were totally dreading. This philosophy says those aren't just random annoyances. Oh no, they're messages. They're warnings, basically telling you, hey, look inward, see what needs to change.
And that leads to a really powerful question to ask yourself. Is there a pattern you keep seeing in your life? A conversation you keep having over and over? This whole idea invites us to become detectives in our own lives, right? To look for the clues the universe is sending our way.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Because this idea of just observing things, it evolves into something much more active. So if these warnings are signals, what exactly are we being warned about? This is where our own role becomes absolutely central. This next quote brings us to a concept a lot of us have probably heard of before, the law of cause and effect. But the way Schmedling's work approaches it, well, it gives it this really personal, almost spiritual dimension. So the argument here is that we are constantly creating our reality. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it. Every thought, every single word is a cause that is going to have an effect. Now, this isn't about some cosmic punishment. It's presented as more of a perfect, almost mathematical balance. What you put out is exactly what you get back. But wait, the philosophy takes this whole idea of responsibility one giant leap further. This isn't just about my actions have consequences. It's way deeper than that. It's about the very nature of our being and how that generates the world around us. And there it is. This is probably the most challenging, but also the most empowering statement in this entire philosophy. It brings us to what's called the law generation. This is the real engine of this whole worldview. You see, this is a massive shift in perspective. It's one thing to say, okay, my actions have results. It is a whole other thing to say that your internal world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, creates your external world. This law is basically saying you're not just a pawn on a chessboard reacting to the game. You are the player, generating the entire game from the inside out.
I know.
It's a challenging idea, for sure, but just think for a second about the power it hands back to us. If we are the source, then that means we have the ability to change our entire experience of life just by changing what we cultivate inside our own minds.
Okay, so let's follow this logic. If we're creating our own experiences, and if life is sending us these warnings to help us along, then what's the point of all the challenges? What's the purpose of all the difficult situations? Why would we generate them in the first place?
This quote, "This is the key to everything." It brings us to the final law we're going to talk about today, and really, the ultimate goal of this entire system, the law of comprehension.
This is where we see that suffering gets completely reframed. It isn't a punishment at all. It's a teacher, and a very, very persistent one at that. It'll just keep repeating the same lesson, maybe dressed up in different situations, until we finally get the message. So real comprehension, true understanding, that's the key that finally unlocks us from these painful cycles. But look, just knowing about these laws, that's not enough, is it? This philosophy is all about moving from theory into practice. It gives us actual, actionable tools. It provides a real method for working with these laws to finally get to that state of comprehension. So the philosophy gives us a whole toolkit for this. It all starts with accepting that you can only change yourself, not anyone else. Then it's about assuming total ownership of your experiences. From there, you learn to act with serenity, not with aggression. You practice being grateful for the lesson hidden in the difficulty, you value what you have, and finally, you respect that everyone else is on their own unique path. You see how these tools work together? They're designed to shift us away from suffering and towards real wisdom.
And all of this leads to a pretty profound internal transformation. You can see it here, the two paths laid out side by side. On one side, you've got the path of suffering, blaming others, complaining, just reacting to everything. But on the other side, that's the path of peace. It's about assuming responsibility, valuing what you have, acting with serenity, and seeing challenges as opportunities to learn.
So at the end of the day, this philosophy offers a really powerful framework. It's a completely different map for reality, one where nothing is random and everything is designed for our growth. It hands you the tools, and it hands you the title of architect. The final blueprint for your life? Well, that is and always will be yours to design.